everybody, welcome back to Tired Old Queen at the Movies. It is opening night for my show tonight, so I'm out running a few errands, but I just remembered that it is Oscar time, which means we have a great movie from Steve this week. So let's go check it out and see what he's got for us.
Johnny, you're not going to believe what I've got to have. You got it. What are you doing? Stand there, come on. Tired Old Queen at the Movies. Oh, Johnny, you know, I hadn't done any of my favorite films from the late 60s and early 70s, which for me was one of the most incredible times in film history, and I was fortunate enough to be in my 20s at the time. So I chose today Maggie Smith's Academy Award-winning performance in Ronald Neame's The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie, based on a novel by Muriel Spark. Now, Maggie Smith had come up, and she, in British theater, she was actually in New Faces on off-Broadway in the late 50s, and she had been taken on by the RSC. She had done her time. She was known as being one of the funniest people on the London stage. And then she did Desdemona opposite Olivier's Othello, and that was a huge success, and it put her in a whole nother category, and she was Oscar nominated for that part. In film, she had sort of done supporting roles. She had done an amazing job in The VIPs with Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton. She had a little role in The Pumpkin Eater. She did a great little part with Peter Ustinov in a movie called Hot Millions.
This is my office, remember?
What you come in early for? How can I be efficient? You keep coming in early.
But she hadn't really had a nice big role.
Petrification. Petrification. I do not intend to devote my prime to petrification.
This had been a big stage hit with Vanessa Redgrave on Broadway, and when they brought it to New York, Zoe Caldwell had won a Tony Award for it. And I think all of those people were being considered, but Ronald Neame had loved Maggie Smith, and that's who he wanted to cast.
I am dedicated to you in my prime. And my summer in Italy has convinced me that I am truly in my prime.
This is essentially a story. It takes place in Scotland, and she is a teacher in the 30s at a girls' school, Marcia Blaine, which is run by Celia Johnson, who is that wonderful actress from Brief Encounter.
I would deem it a sincere service to the school if any indiscretion.
Her character, Jean Brodie, has this incredible influence over all these young girls. Jean Brodie's attitude towards these girls are like that they belong to her. And she's always saying, all my girls are Brodie girls.
Little girls, I am in the business of putting old heads on young shoulders, and all my pupils are the creme de la creme.
Give me an impressionable girl at an impressionable age, she's mine for life. And she goes and weaves these incredible romantic stories about her love life and her affairs. And at one point she says to one of the little girls, Jenny, who is the most famous Italian painter? And she goes, Leonardo da Vinci, Miss Brodie. She goes, wrong, Jenny. The answer is Giotto. He is my favorite. And she has this charismatic personality, but she's also dangerous. She's a fascist, and she supports Mussolini, and she starts weaving these incredible stories about how he has improved the government and he's improved Italy.
Yes, I heard you've been raising funds for Franco. I find that extraordinary.
The times are extraordinary.
There's these 4 girls in particular who follow her, and she weaves a spell with each of them, and she fosters a romantic delusion in their imaginations, and it leads to tragic consequences.
Soon you will graduate, and I will no longer teach you, but you will always be Brodie girls.
The foremost person is Pamela Franklin, who is this wonderful child actress who had been in The Innocents, and she was a fantastic talent, and she plays the one girl who bucks Jean Brodie, who idolizes her, and at the same time she bucks her.
But you did, Miss Brodie. You were in difficulty and you made up about Flodden.
Sandy, please try to do as I say and not as I do. Remember, you are a child, Sandy, and far from your prime.
Maggie walks a very fine line with this character because she could, at times, sometimes she appears to be almost comedically over the edge.
Himself, little girl, Stanley Baldwin, who got in as Prime Minister and got out again ere long.
And then she'll pull her back and she'll be absolutely real. She has a showdown with Celia Johnson, Miss Mackay, in which Miss Mackay accuses her of influencing her students in the wrong way, and she says,
I am proud of it. I influence them to be aware of all the possibilities of life. Of beauty, honor, courage.
She has them visit her lover, who's a painter, who's played by Robert Stevens, who's painting nude girls, and he gets involved with one of the students.
I painted that chap in my student days. It's what's called a life study. I had a difficult time with the pectoral muscles.
Petrol?
Chest.
It's very typical, though, of the writing of Muriel Spark. She opens up a lot of situations, and she shows you a lot of things, and she doesn't always give you answers.
That would not be education, but intrusion. From the root prefix en, meaning in, and the stem trudo, I thrust, ergo to thrust a lot of information into a pupil's head.
And it has one of the great, stellar star turns by one of our greatest actresses of all time.
Assassin!
Maggie Smith, Pamela Franklin, Celia Johnson, and Robert Stevens in Ronald Neame's production of Muriel Spark's The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie.
Let's all go to the lobby.
He's snacking chocolates. He's just torturing me. How do I look, telling him? Handsome?
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn.